Allah the Almighty said, "Who is he that can intercede with him except with his permission?"
Okay, now we get to the exception. We gave you the two verses that say the general rule, and there are more verses than these. What is the general rule? Intercession belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the general rule. This is the absolute rule. Now there is only one exception though. And this exception will be fulfilled with two criterion. Okay? This is important. This exception that other people can intercede only with two conditions when they are met. Okay? The first condition is mentioned in this verse. مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. Which verse is this in? Ayat al-Kursi. Who is there that can intercede except with his permission? Who is there that can intercede except with his permission? So no one can intercede. No one can intercede for any person from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the first condition, which is a very important condition. In other words, if Allah did not give permission to that person to intercede, he could not intercede. Okay? So who are we talking about here? We're talking about the person that actually intercedes on behalf of another person. So for example, in the example that we gave back, a man goes to a person or a friend that knows the CEO. Basically what this verse is referring to is that middleman, the actual intercessor, not the one who is interceded for. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only going to accept the intercession of someone that He has given permission to. Someone that He has given permission to intercede on other people. So this is the first condition. The second condition is mentioned, you can write this verse down in your book or in your notes. The second condition is mentioned in Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 28. Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 28. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا يَشْفَعُونَ إِلَّا لِمَنِ ارْتَضَى. That they don't intercede except on behalf of those whom Allah is pleased. So this condition goes back to those that are interceded for. We have two people involved in an intercession. Well, actually three. You have the one who actually intercedes, the middleman. And then you have the one, the king or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the CEO that you go to with the intercession. Okay? And then you have the third one who is actually interceded for on his behalf. You understand these three people? Or not? Is that clear? The first person, if you like, is the one that you go to for your intercession. In other words, the middleman. That you would go to him because he knows or he has some contact with another higher authority. Okay? The second person is yourself, which is the one who is being interceded for. And the third party, if you like, in an intercession, in any intercession, is who? Who's left? The higher authority. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or if it's related to this world, some, king or some CEO. The point is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, until two conditions are met, no intercession is going to be accepted. The first condition involves the middleman, the one who is interceding. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no one, or He says in Ayat al-Kursi, who is there that can intercede except with His permission. So in other words, not just any middleman can intercede. Only the middleman whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given permission that this person can intercede. Okay. The second condition goes back to the group or the people that are being interceded for. In other words, the middleman goes on their behalf. Okay. And Allah says that, what is the second condition? That Allah is pleased with them. وَلَا يَشْفَعُونَ إِلَّا لِمَنِ ارْتَضَى. These people, the middlemen, they can never intercede, or they cannot intercede except for people whom Allah is pleased with. Except for people whom Allah is pleased with. So now, for example, can shaitan intercede for anyone? No. Why? Which condition has he failed to meet? The first condition. Because he is not given permission to intercede. Okay? Can a pious person or a prophet intercede for those that are committing shirk? No. Why? Because of the second condition. Okay? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that there are two conditions for any intercession to be accepted. Both of these conditions are mentioned in the Quran. The first condition involves the middleman, that person or the one that intercedes, he has been given permission. And the second condition is that those that are interceded for, okay, the people whose intercession is actually being taken, Allah is pleased with them. Okay? And this is combined in the next verse that the author mentions. These two conditions are combined in this verse, by the way. Now, read on.
He said, and there are many angels in the heavens whose intercession will avail nothing except after Allah has given leave for whom He wills and pleases.
Okay, now in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that how many angels there are. There's a question that tells you that there are many angels. In Arabic, this type of question is not really a rhetorical question, but it's the takseer. In other words, you increase. In other words, how many angels are there? There are so many angels that intercede on behalf of people on this earth, the Muslims and the believers, but their intercession is never accepted. لا تغني شفاعتهم شيئا. It is not accepted in the least, except what? Except after Allah has given them permission to whomever He pleases, and He is pleased with the people that they're interceding for. Okay? Do you understand this? This verse combines both of these conditions explicitly. The first condition is mentioned in which part of the verse? Imran. The first condition, which section of the verse is it mentioned in? Except Allah has given leave. In other words, He has given these angels permission. The second condition is? And He pleases with those that are interceded for. Okay? So these two conditions that we mentioned are combined in this verse. Okay? The question might be asked now. Well, okay, we'll move on to that. After goes on. No, he mentioned it.
He said, say, call upon those whom you assert besides Allah. They possess not even the weight of an atom, either in the heavens or in the earth, nor have they any share in either, nor there is for Him any supporter from among them. Intercession with Him profits not, except for him whom He permits.
Okay, this verse, Ibn al-Qayyim states that this verse has cut off every single excuse or every single argument of the mushrikeen. Okay, very important phrase here. Ibn al-Qayyim states that this verse in the Quran, or these two verses actually, it cuts off, it destroys every single argument that the mushrikeen give forth for their shirk. Okay? How is that the case? In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions four things. And no one can commit shirk except that he believes in one of these four things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroys all of these four things. The first thing that a person will claim is that the one that I'm committing shirk with, or the one that I am worshipping besides Allah, he owns something. He owns me, or he owns the power to help me, or he has the power to do something. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenges them. Say, call upon those that you presume are gods besides Allah. Call upon those besides Allah that you think are gods. Allah says the first thing, لا يملكون مثقال ذرة في السماوات ولا في الأرض. They don't even own an atom, neither in the heavens or in the earth. So this is the first destruction. If you were to ask, now this goes against rububiyyah, by the way. This goes against Tawheed rububiyyah. If you were to ask, for example, some of the Hindus, why do they worship their evil gods? The gods that are gods of evil. They were to tell you that we believe that this evil god, if we worship him, he will be appeased, and so he won't harm us, because he owns the power, or he has the power to cause us harm. So Allah says in this first section, or in this first part of the verse, that whatever you call besides Allah, they don't even own an atom's weight. They don't even own an atom in the heavens or in the earth. So this is the first argument. The second argument that someone might say of the mushrikeen is that, well, no, they don't own it themselves, but they own it along with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like a dual or triple owners, if you like. Okay? So they are not single owners, but they have a share. Okay, they have a share of ownership. And this is what the mushrikeen, they used to say about their idols. Is that, well, of course, Allah is the one that owns everything, but our idols, they own also a portion of it. They are like mutual owners, if you like. The shareholders, if you like, in a company. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the greatest power or the greatest say, but our idols, they have a little bit of say also in the matter. So therefore we go through them. So Allah says in the next phrase, وَمَا لَهُمْ فِيهِمَا مِنْ شِرْكٍ. And there is no partnership, or there is no association that they have with their owners. In other words, these people, they don't even own a section of an atom. They don't control, they don't have joint ownership, if you like. Okay? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the next phrase, that وَمَا لَهُمْ فِيهِمَا مِنْ شِرْكٍ, and they don't even have a portion or a say in this matter. In other words, full control is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So do you understand the second argument that the mushrikeen bring forth? Is that, well, some of them will say, well, our gods, they own something. Others will say, our gods, they don't actually own it in complete ownership, but they have a partial ownership. So in this phrase, Allah says they don't even have this partial ownership. The third thing that they might say, well, okay, the ownership belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but our gods or our idols or our deities or our pious things or our angels that we worship, they have some help in the matter, that they help Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in control of this ownership. And this also is a common theme of of many pagan religions, is that they will say, okay, the one main God, He is the one that owns everything and controls everything, but he passes out duties, if you like, to the minor gods. And the minor gods help him out in his work.